Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. Again, I'm going to be talking about some obscure, low budget feature, as I often do here, of course, folks. And it's going to be a martial arts movie, because why the hell not? I like these kung fu movies. Can never get enough of them, of course. Here we go, I reckon. This is unfortunately going to be the English dubbed version, by the way, so there you go, I guess. Anyway, it's Snake in the Crane's Shadow from 1978. At least this version was released in that year, anyway. But of course, as usual, let's just get into the plot, shall we, in this craziness, I guess you can say. So, of course, in this one, somebody needs some training kung fu, of course, obviously. What's going on here, at least in this movie, is that everyone abuses and humiliates I guess, this orphan until he befriends this old man whom in turns out to be the last master of the snake fist fighting style of kung fu. So our main character here pretty much becomes the old man's student. So they're like, doing like a student teacher kind of a thing, I guess. Finds himself in battle with the master of the eagles style claw fighting style kung fu, who has vowed to destroy the snake horse clan, so to speak. So that's kind of the thing is going down here, folks. Of course, and whatnot. So this definitely is something, so to speak, when it comes to this type of movies. And in other ways, it's fairly straightforward, of course. That's fine. It doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing, of course. But that's pretty much what it is. Pretty much straightforward when it comes to this kind of thing, which in itself doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, of course. Anyway, that's what it is. Of course, the main character is trying to do the right thing. He was definitely trying to be nice and whatnot. And yes, obviously, he's trying to make sure that he defeats the bad people because the bad people are up to no good, obviously. And that's the gist of it, of course, when it comes to this type of movie, obviously. So yeah, you can do quite a bit of some type of moves, of course. So there you go, I reckon. Anyway, that's just how it is, pretty much. So anyway, all in all, this was a pretty solid kung fu movie, I reckon. I like the fight scenes. The fight scenes are really well choreographed, like a lot of these low budget movies that tend to be, of course. I like that, and that's really well done in that regard. So I don't mind it really. I like the fact that it's not overly edited. The fight scenes are not overly edited, thankfully, so it doesn't come off too bizarre. So yeah, crazy fight sequences and whatnot. So there was that, of course. I mean, for what it's worth, I guess I can't complain too much, of course, and whatnot. And that's just how it is, of course, and whatnot. This one just definitely shows that it has the what do you call the certain elements for the story and the martial arts fight scene, of course. Yes, of course, there's this bullied orphan who finds an unlikely master slash friend, learns about the forbidden fighting style, and then even batters the school's rivals, of course. So that happens, obviously. The fights themselves, like I was saying a moment ago, are crisp and nicely done. And the final showdown definitely delivers a crazy story, of course. So the overall pacing for this is nice, of course. Isn't too bad, of course, and whatnot. For what it's worth, of course. And there's a bit of, I guess, slapstick comedy throughout here, I guess. Not really my favorite type of kung fu, really, because I tend to my kung fu movies a bit more serious than this. But like I said, for what it's worth, it's fine, I guess. It does what it's supposed to, I suppose. So I can't really, like I said, I can't complain too much. And I just wish the dubbing was better. I just wish the dubbing was better, of course, but because it's kind of bad in some ways. So yes, for me anyway, that did get in the way, unfortunately. That's just me though. Maybe just me, I guess. But anyway, altogether, it's fine. Okay, it does his job, of course. And yeah, this is something from really the early years, of course, way back when it comes to the population of the popularity of kung fu, of course, the martial art type movies. I mean, I know these type of movies, the popularity of these type of movies of all kung fu, I should say, probably has died down like after a while, but still, I guess in some ways it's nice to go back and just reflect on some things, of course, in that regard, and that's cool. I guess that's fine. Ultimately, this movie does what it's supposed to, so it set its sights to be a certain way, and just pretty much does it. Of course, that's fine. I do appreciate that, obviously. So there you go. So okay. Uh, but yeah, ultimately, just something I want to talk about for real quick here, folks. And I just figured I'd just do that, folks, because I like time with this the more or less known kung fu titles, of course, when it comes to this genre. I mean, okay, yes, like I said before, I know that may not be the most popular thing to do on this site, but I don't care. I do it anyway. I do it anyway because I like time with these types of movies, of course. I don't mind really. No, I don't mind. But anyway, I do think that this can be a great way to just enjoy like this old school kung fu movies. At least I thought so anyway. At least I thought so. And this definitely is one of them, of course. And just how this is supposed to be set up for anybody's career, I guess, and whatnot. I did like how this is supposed to take place in a certain era, of course, when it comes to Asia. That's fine, I guess. Nothing wrong with that. Sure, why not? Whatever. And of course, obviously, this it's kind of an underdog story. I guess you want to say that's basically what this is an underdog story. Of course, this orphan has been raised in this, I guess, kung fu school, so to speak, where he is treated as a little more than just, I guess, like a little a peace squeak, I guess, but practice target for the students really, and has a long life changing experience, so to speak, after becoming this student for this teacher, so to speak, and whatnot. But anyway, it's like a kung fu comedy. Again, not really my cup of tea, but still. So I'll give this an overall rating of a 6.8 out of 10. It's a 6.8 out of 10 for me. So as always, thanks for watching. See you.